So it's 5 afternoon, so we will go ahead and start. Thank you for coming to our presentation today. We're just going to be talking about what you can do with your major and all the ways that that presents itself, whether you're choosing a major or you're deciding what you want your career to be. So here's just a little quote from Aristotle: where your talent and needs of the world cross, there lies your vocation. I really like that quote. So here are some common statements that we hear in our office when we speak with students. I don't know what I can do with my major. Maybe I chose the wrong major. It's too hard to choose one thing that I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I know that one was me. I didn't know what I was going to do for the rest of my life, and it seemed like the biggest decision ever. Or I don't have relevant experience to put on my resume. So we're going to talk today about some different ways to combat those fears that you may have, whether you're choosing a major or if you're having second thoughts about what you want to do. So the question that all of those fears kind of stem from is this: what are you going to do with that major? Or what can I do with my major? You think if you decide on this major, you're locked into a certain career, and that may be the case sometimes, but really there's a wide open field for what you can do if you get the right experience and you apply for the right job. So I do want to show you a really great tool that we have on our Career Services website, which is called What Can I Do with This Major? And on that website, and I'll show you how to get to it. You can go through it and look into, okay, what are some jobs that people have who have the same major as me? And to get to it, you go to our website, which is careers.uco.edu. And toward the side, on the right, you'll see a bunch of different icons where you can schedule an appointment or build resumes, a lot of different options. But what you'll choose here is Explore Majors. And from there, it will give you an introduction into our What Can You Do With This Major tool that we have on our website, and it has a list of different majors, and they are arranged by college. So what's one of you all's major? TESOL? Yeah. Okay. So that will be, do we have that one listed on? No? Okay. What about Business Administration? Okay. So we'll click this one just as an example. We won't go into great detail, but when you're on this website, it shows you different areas in which you can work, employers that may be good for you to look into that may hire that type of position, as well as some different information that you may need to know or some strategies to break into that field. So if you can see with business studies, sometimes they'll give you more of a general explanation for your major. There's different areas including management or sales, insurance, banking, real estate, human resource management. So it kind of gives you some different ideas where you can click around and see what your different versions, different examples could be. So say you're interested in banking. It has some different types of banking that you may be interested in, and as well as some other information. So What Can I Do With This Major is a really good tool if you're still exploring, or if you're just undecided about what you want your career to look like. You may be decided on a major, something that you're interested in or you have a passion for, but your career choices, this may be a good way to look around and get some ideas. Okay. So here are some examples of majors and positions. So when you look at this, does this make sense for people in those majors to be in these jobs? Any of them stand out to be a little weird? Okay. They're all pretty straightforward. If you majored in geography, you might think it makes sense to be a high school geography teacher. or if you majored in economics, to be a bond trader or to work on Wall Street. But in actuality, these are actually the people's majors and their professions. They're a little mixed up than what you would think. This really is just to show you that although you may major in a certain area, that doesn't necessarily tie you down to that specific area. There's different ways that you can diversify your experience and your knowledge and training so that you can go into different areas. But we do want to keep in mind that certain fields, you just need the knowledge base that's going to be required to teach that. For instance, you're going to need to probably major in Spanish if you're going to teach a foreign language like Spanish. Or if you're going to be a doctor, you have to go to med school. There's not really ways around those type of things. But it does give you an idea that you can do a lot of different things, especially if you get different experiences or you work on different skills within either a graduate degree or outside of your time in the classroom while you're working on your undergraduate degree. Okay, so the fatal flaw of the question. Majors and careers don't always have to directly relate to each other. So people might say, what are you going to do with that major? What is it going to do for you? It's really a good base no matter what your major is because you can get different experiences, you can get different certificates, grad school, things that will help open up and bridge the gaps between your major and different industries. So careers develop in unusual ways that can't always be predicted by your major. You may have to move. Something may happen where you can't do what you thought you were going to do anymore. What if you're a dance major and you injured yourself? Things happen where you have to work with what you have to go ahead and change your major, change your career choices, regardless of what your major was. And studies have shown that within 10 years of graduation, most people aren't working in a field directly to their major. So that doesn't mean to say that you can't. If you know what your career is going to be, go for it. You might have a very linear career path, but most people, as studies show, that within 10 years, people have kind of diversified their experience and maybe dabbled into different fields. And again, think about exceptions where, say, you're a speech pathologist, right? If you have a specific training in speech pathology, you need special training to be a speech pathologist. You can't go in with a math degree and do that job. So keep in mind those ones. But studies do show that you will have an opportunity if you change your mind, if life happens, to work within a different field. Okay. And then again, 70% of graduates' careers are influenced by unplanned events. I know it sounds a little odd. You're like, man, I'm trying to plan out my life. I have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. That's great. You always need a plan, but things do happen, and you need to be adaptive and learn what transferable skills that you have so that you can make sure that you have the career that you want, even if it doesn't necessarily look exactly like you thought it would. Okay, so this is a question that I like better than what are you going to do with that major? What do you want to do with that major? Because that can look a lot of different ways. So everyone has their unique story to tell about experience. For me, my undergraduate major was speech pathology, then I changed my mind. And I got my master's degree in education, and now I'm a career development specialist. Had you asked me that 5 years ago, I never would have thought that would be my career path. But I had to reevaluate based on what things happened in my life. Did my values change? For me, they did. My interest just opened up to education. So you have to be open to those things. But I do have friends who are in my speech pathology program who they love that career, and that's the path that they're going on. So choosing a career is a complex process. It's a lot more than just choosing your major and sticking to it. It's making sure that you're going to be fulfilled within that career and that it aligns with your values and what your life situation is at that moment. So we're kind of going to look into what that process looks like. I kind of said already that, okay, yes, you can't control the variables. Things may happen, or you may change your mind. but you can control the things that you know about. So if you know you want a certain major or a certain career, you might major in something that is related to that. You might get your experiences in those types of things, because it is always great to go in with a plan. So we'll talk a little bit about career planning. There's basically 4 steps to the career planning model. And so those are self-assessment, exploration and researching, reflection and decision, and then planning to take action. Okay? So self-assessment, what would you think that would be?
Model ourselves.
Yeah. It's you looking at yourself and saying, okay, what are my values? What things do I want to see? You know? Do I want a career where I need flexibility, or I need to spend time with my family, or I want a career where I want to make a difference, or affect public policy? You know, you do those self-assessments to see what you think you want your career to look like. Then the next step is to explore and research your options. So once you've honed in on the area that you're interested in, something that you can do is to explore your options. So looking at things like, what can I do with this major? Or looking into jobs in your area that fit within that realm. If you're a little undecided, that may mean shadowing someone for a while to see, do I really like what that position does for on a day-to-day basis? Because there's a lot of times where you think you're interested in a career, but you may not like actually what people do in that job. So it's good to do exploration and researching before you totally make a commitment to a career. So this is kind of why it's a process. Then your next part is to reflect and decide. Take those bits of information that you've gathered and decide whether or not you want to major in something or pursue a certain career path. And then you plan and take action. So you've decided, all right, I want to teach English as a second language, right? So what steps do I need to take to get there? Do I need to have an internship? Do I need to major in English? Do I need to have different shadowing opportunities? What steps do I need to take to make that happen? Once you make your plan, you take action. But again, as I mentioned, some things may come up. You may change your mind. Things may not pan out exactly how you think. And so this career planning process is going to be cyclical. You don't do it one time in your 20s or your 30s and say, I'm done. But it may change. Something may happen to you where your values may realign, where you say, ooh, I really am passionate about this thing now. How can I take my passion and my experience and then go into a new career field possibly? And that's what people do throughout their careers. And that really is what gives you fulfillment within your career, if you can continually self-assess and realign yourself in a career or in jobs that will make you happy. So always make a plan. Your major is important. Definitely choose a major. But just know that the career planning process is ongoing, and it's going to be ongoing throughout your working life. Okay. So let's talk about the value of your degree. So, of course, you're in school not only because you want to learn. I know it'd be awesome if we just only wanted to learn, but we want a career. We want to be employed after this. So, let's talk a little bit about what employers want and do you have what they want? A lot of times you already have what they want, but it's whether or not you've realized it or taken time to develop it a little further. So, is it the major? Some technical fields, like I said, require specific training. If you're going to teach Spanish, you probably should know the Spanish language. Or, if you're going to be a doctor, you need to go to medical school. But for many careers, they require just any major. They want to know that you're well-rounded and that you have learned certain skills, and that typically has happened throughout your college career, regardless of what your major could be. So we work with a lot of employers with career services for different events like career fairs, or doing mock interviews and things like this. And typically the most requested major that we see from employers is any major. which is a little different than what you would think. So let's go ahead and jump into, okay, well, if they're not looking for a major, what are they looking for? So the top skills that employers were looking for in a job outlook survey from this year were teamwork, problem solving, communication skills, strong work ethic, leadership, that you're able to take initiative, that you're able to be flexible and adapt with changes, your analytical skills, and also that you're detail oriented. So those things you can gain through a number of different ways that aren't necessarily tied to a major. They're more so tied to your experiences. I'm sorry.
All tied to your personality.
Yes. A lot of those will be tied to your personality. I would say with personality, you may have certain tendencies to be good at certain things, like being detail-oriented. Some people just automatically tick that way. But it is definitely a skill that you can work on. If you know you're not strong in that area, you can make sure that you give yourself time and experiences, training, so that you can develop those skills. Because these skills have been showing up for the past, I don't know how many years, for what employers are looking for. So you definitely want to tailor your experiences within any major so that you have these skills. And those skills can transfer across the board, especially when you have an employer that's looking for any major.
So should I just put this quality, in my resume?
You should display that you have these qualities in your resume. It's not a good idea to put a skill section and then bullet teamwork, problem solving, communication skills. That won't be as meaningful as saying, giving an example of when you've worked on a team or when you've led a team. So you'll want to tie your own experiences into your resume in a way that displays that you have those skills. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, and here's some more information about what hiring managers are saying are most important. So as you can see at the top, decision-making skills. And then second coming in is technical skills and planning skills. So those kind of will give you an idea. They kind of correlate to the previous slide where you can have really marketable and desirable skills and traits that aren't necessarily tied to the major. Technical skills definitely would be tied to a major, but those are more for technical type fields, like the ones that we've been discussing. But being analytical and being able to work with diverse groups, you can learn those skills with any major and working in any job. So those are transferable skills that really are going to be, going to be great for you to have. Okay, do you have any questions? Okay, you guys can just jump in. I'm really open to that. So, how does UCO develop what employers have said are the top skills that you want? So have any of you all heard of the Central Six? No? Okay, well, I love talking about the Central Six. So I will explain those right now. So the Central Six are basically our 6 tenets for the experience that you're going to get here at UCO. And those 6 tenets are discipline knowledge, meaning basically your major-based courses where you're learning some discipline knowledge inside the classroom. Global and cultural competencies, that's interacting with different people from different cultures, whether that is in a class or working in groups together, or specifically diving into a project that will help you teach someone diversity or cultural competency. Health and wellness, which means living a healthy lifestyle, that's part of it, but it also includes emotional health and mental health as well. We hope that you get that here at UCO, and that is even included in your career development as part of one of your 6 areas of wellness, 8 areas of wellness. So whether or not you're going to be interested whether or not you get fulfillment in your career can have a big toll on your emotional well-being. So that's health and wellness. Leadership, UCO has a lot of opportunities for you to be involved in student organizations or specifically in leadership programs. We have research, creative, and scholarly activities. So that is really more about doing research outside of what you already was required of you in the classroom. And what I really like to think of that is how we instill lifelong learning. We want you to be a learner even past getting your degree. And then service learning and civic engagement. That's giving back to your community, being involved with social justice, or being civically engaged, being responsible for your community. So UCO has a lot of different programs kind of revolved around this central six. So they've recently implemented a student transformative learning record where you can be tracked in 5 of the 6 tenets. So everything but discipline knowledge, because discipline knowledge is going to be assessed through your academic transcript. So when you came in, you might have noticed there is a health and wellness tenet banner outside of the door, and you swiped your card. So with that, we're just telling you you're going to get some credit for coming to this event because you're going to be learning about ways to get fulfillment from your career, which is tied into your well-being as a person. So you'll see some of those banners at different events around campus. A lot of those are going to be exposure level events, meaning you went, you learned something great, and they're going to be kind of the lower level experiences. And then in your class, you may have to do a service learning project, or you may have to do something where you're going to learn more about global and cultural competencies. And then you'd have the opportunity to be assessed at a higher level. So all of these things kind of just tie into the ways that you're making yourself more marketable outside of your discipline knowledge, outside of you having a strong GPA and knowing all of the material that you need to know for technical reasons. You're becoming more well-rounded, and it will tie back to those skills that we've been talking about, working in teams or being able to adapt, working with diverse groups of people. So definitely try to plug into your full experience here at UCO to do some of those activities. And even if they aren't specifically stellar tagged, we want you to just be cognizant of what things you're doing outside of the classroom and how those can be related back to skills that you may want to show an employer. So we talked about, okay, you don't want to just put, I have team skills on my resume, right? But if you worked on a team in a group at your church or volunteering somewhere after class, that is something that you can talk about on a resume to market yourself, that you have more experience than just going to class, that you've been involved beyond that. And that's what's going to show employers that you have those transferable skills that really land outside of what your major would be. So I know you guys weren't familiar with the Central Six yet, so are there any questions about that part? No? Okay. Okay. So we're going to just dive in a little bit more about things that you can do to make yourself more well-rounded and make sure that you have the skills that employers say that they want. So that can be course projects and assignments. Sometimes you're going to be given some course assignments that are well beyond you just studying for a test or writing a paper. They're going to include working on a team, or they're going to include you coming up with your own idea and executing it. Those are great things for you to display, and those are great skills that you're going to learn that are going to be transferable. So those things are things you want to highlight, especially if you want to kind of bridge the gap between your major and your desired industry. So like I mentioned, working in student organizations or being in professional organizations. Did you present at a conference possibly for your major? Those things are ways that you can kind of beef up your experience outside of you just having the correct major for a job you may be applying for, but that you have the skills. And these are ways that you can gain them by getting a lot of experience outside of going to class. Any questions about any of these? Okay. So, again, I mentioned that you should get experience to make sure that you have those skills. Some classes are going to give you the opportunity to do that without any further time commitments, but most of them are not going to have everything that you need. So you have to get involved outside of going to class, meaning getting a job, a part-time job or a full-time job, getting an internship so you get experience within your field. Volunteering, if they're not hiring, possibly you can volunteer, or if you need to have certain technical skills to be hired there, maybe you can volunteer while you're working on your credentials. So our office will have a lot of different ways that we can help you get those experiences. We can help you with finding jobs and internships. We have a great website called Hire Broncos where you can look for those. And there are hundreds on there currently where you can specifically go in and look, okay, I'm interested in this industry. What jobs are out there currently or internships? Then we have a lot of other special programs, one being Intern UCO, where you can be an intern on campus. Or we have a few off campus, and you can be on the lookout for those. Those ones are a little bit more selective, so there won't be as many opportunities as looking on Hire Broncos. Then we have career fairs, which are a great opportunity for you to network, for you to possibly, get hired that day. And we host those throughout the year, as well as coming to programs like this. So, to get experience, there are many different ways. Like I mentioned in the last slide, you can join student organizations, or you can get involved with service learning. All of those opportunities are here on campus. There's a ton of resources here if you just take advantage of them. Was Hire Broncos a link? No. Okay. So, again, if you visit our website, Hire Broncos, all of you should have an account as a UCO student. But the first time, you just need to log in and fill out some things. Then it's really simple to use, so you can go out there and look for some different jobs and opportunities. Any questions about that part? Okay. And we'll talk more about all of the different services that our office will offer to you in a little while. Okay. So marketing your skills. Okay, so our office, like I said, has a ton of different resources that we can help you with. So you can come in if you're still deciding on a major. We can help you from your major, deciding what your major is going to be, through the full spectrum of getting a job and graduating. So you can come in for career guidance if you need help with deciding a major, or seeing what steps you need to do to make your career plan happen. We can help you with resumes and cover letters. So once you're already applying for things, or you have something that you're interested in, we can make sure that all of your materials market you in the best way. So we're available for those through appointments. If you can schedule those online. And then we also have walk-in hours every Monday through Thursday from 3 to 5. Those aren't going to be as in-depth, but if you need just a quick review, you can come in for those days. Then we also have Optimal Resume online, where you can build a resume using that tool. It has a lot of help for you to build that. Has examples, and if you're a person that is not really good with the formatting of a resume, it makes things really easy, because you can fill in your information and it formats it in a professional manner. And then once you have that resume that you either built on that Optimal Resume site, or that you have uploaded, you can get your resume critiqued online. So if you're a person that doesn't have time, if you work, or you have other obligations that you can't come in for an appointment, you can do Optimal Resume or walk-in hours, but I definitely recommend appointments if you need in-depth help. We can also help you with practice interviews. Again, you schedule your appointment online, so all of our appointments are going to be scheduled online. Then with those practice interviews, you basically can tell us what industry or what job you're interested in, and we'll have a tailored mock interview for you, where we can help you with those interviewing skills. We can give you some pointers and feedback based on how you do in our mock interview. And then we can also just help you with regular tips that you may need if you're worried about what's professional dress, if you're worried about answering certain questions. We can help you with all of that. And we have sometimes a great opportunity where you can sign up for a mock interview with an employer. So it's really great where you can get feedback from someone who regularly hires someone, whether it's in your industry or not. Then we have several resource guides available on our website or in our office. So it's just some pointers on resumes, or if you want to do a CV, interviewing tips, job search tips, whether or not you need help finding an internship. We have resources for that. Choosing a major, and then also if you want to get some help, if you're applying for graduate school, we can help you with personal statements or your statement of purpose. So that's something that we can critique as well, or give you some guidance on what is typically included. So I know that's a ton of resources really quickly, but we're here to give you that. So definitely take advantage of that. And so one misconception people have about career services is that you need to come in before you graduate, before you want a job. And yes, we can help you at that point, but it's best to come in regularly so that we can help you with building your steps for your career plan. So say you decided on a certain career that requires basically internships and many hours of exposure before they hire even entry-level people. It may be too late to talk about that in your last semester of college, but if you had come in and thought about, okay, these are the steps that I need to go through. I need to find an internship. I need to have these things. We can help you with that, kind of guide you through that whole process. Any questions about the services we offer in our office? Yeah.
If I were to go in and say, hey, I want to look at internships or grad schools, would they sit down and work with that, or would it be better to do it on my own time?
No, we could definitely help you with searching for that. That would just be, by appointment, and then we'd set up an appointment. We research what you want to talk about, so we know exactly what you're going to need in your appointment, and we can help you look for things, or at least show you where you can look. Because that's a lot of times where people are a little hung up, like, I don't even know where to start looking for these internships or what type of internship that I need. We can help guide you through that process too. Yeah, so have one person help me make an appointment, hopefully. Any other questions? Okay. Do want to let you know where our office is. We're located in this building on the 3rd floor in room 338. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And again, if you want any of those career guidance appointments, or you want an appointment for a resume critique or anything like that, you can look all that up on our website, which is careers.uco.edu. All of those resources are on our website. It's where you can make an appointment. And also that's where we found that what can I do with this major tool, if you want to go back and use that. And then we have walk-ins for resumes Monday through Thursday from 3 to 5. And definitely follow us on social media. Share. We need some more followers. Yes?
So, a lot of the areas covered, like, are traditional, like the law or communications or something. What about, like, art degrees and fine art degrees? What can you help us with? Since, like, a lot of our getting the job involves just, like, making the audition or creating a piece of work that
Yeah. So our office, we recently switched over to an industry model where we're going to have someone who's specifically trained in helping students find careers within the arts. So, I mean, it's a lot more necessary even within the arts than just showing up for the audition. You have to make sure that you're marketable in other ways. And so off the top of my head, that's not my industry, I'll tell you that. So I wouldn't be able to give you any specific examples. But we definitely have ways that we can help you. It's definitely not just showing up to the interview. Whether it's working on networking skills, on how you know the right people, or getting getting different experiences or internships where you're working with the right people. Those things, I would say, within the arts, with some of the people that I know, those things make all the difference. Whether or not they were able to be a fellow for a different program or something like that, we can help you apply for those things, or at least know that they're out there. Yep. Any other questions? Okay, that was my last slide. I'll leave you with this nice quote. Whatever you do, be a good one. Yes. So this is the first event for Exploratory Student Week. So all of y'all have heard of that, hopefully. But Exploratory Student Week, this is focused on students who may be undecided about their major or career field. And so we have a ton of events going on. Tomorrow we're going to have the Careerpedia. I need to know that off the top of my head. And then we're going to have something every day. And so when you came in, you were probably offered a little card. Yes. So if you come to all of those events, you're able to be entered for a drawing for a prize. And so when you come, just bring that back, have that signed, and then you'll be eligible to win a prize. And then we'll also have some different tables in different places around campus where you can just stop by and get some information. Even if you can't make it to another workshop, we will be available. And maybe you should say more dates because I am drawing a blank.
So Careerpedia is going to be at the same time back in this room, and basically that one's going to be on resources. So if you're still exploring some career options, we're going to give you some tips and some resources that you can go to explore those different options. Wednesday, we're going to explore values, interests, personality, and skills, and how those can relate to actually finding a good fit with your career. So it's going to be kind of a fun, hands-on learning activity. I believe it's going to be sitting on like 3 to 4.
I think so.
3 to 4. Okay. So Wednesday, 3 to 4. They should all be back in this room, and so that one will be kind of a fun, hands-on one. And then Thursday, we're going to have someone from Advisement here talking about how to declare your major, the importance of doing that, kind of the benefits once you get declared, why you should go to your advisor, that kind of thing. So they'll be here from 3 to 4 on Thursday. So those are our workshops this week, and then we have tables in liberal arts today. Tomorrow we'll have the education building, and then Wednesday we'll have the AGS building, where you can just come and get information or ask us questions. I think some advisors might be there as well. They've asked for a table with us, so we've got some people if you do need to declare your major, sign up for an appointment, or things like that. So we'll just be there for a big chunk of the day if you wanted to stop by, and we can sign your card for tables as well. So if you come to one table and a couple of our workshops, you can get that drawing. So those are kind of what we have going on this week.
So tomorrow, this table will be in the liberal arts?
Tomorrow for the workshop, we'll be back in this room, and we'll have lunch again tomorrow as well. The tables are a separate thing. Yeah, we'll be there from, I think, around 10 something, 2 or so
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Today is liberal arts, and I think tomorrow is the education building.
Yeah, so you can stop by and chat with us if you want to.
Any other questions?
I have a class at 3 o'clock. Is that the whole start time with big ones? Is there a faster
We recorded this one, so I will go ahead and be honest with you. This is new technology for us, so we hope to have it up. We hope that it'll be a good recording. We've been recording everything, but it's new, so it should possibly be up. But we definitely have these resources available. We'll have slides and things, or we know how to help you if you come in for an appointment. The workshops are great, but you have the experts right here on campus, or you can have a one-on-one meeting as well.
I think our last workshop was posted on our Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it ended up getting on our website yet, but that's what we're moving towards, is trying to get them all on our website. So you might try checking out our Facebook page. So we'll probably try to at least get these on there.
Okay. I thought you were going to ask you something. All right. Well, thank you for coming, and we hope that we'll see you some other times this week as well. Thanks.